Hello, and welcome to either episode 14 or bonus episode number 3 of the Crimson Misery podcast. My name is Will Rainbolt. You already know what this episode's going to be about. If you're if you're listening on Spotify or Apple, rate the show 5 stars. If you're listening on YouTube, um, like, subscribe, comment below. You can email the pod at crimsonmiserypod@gmail.com. Um, Where do I even begin? So Indiana loses. Their season's over. They lost 27 to 17. They scored two late touchdowns in garbage time. Um, it did not like it mattered. Um, so anywho, um, that being said, what a year by Indiana. This is something I will cherish throughout my life, and something that I guess in the scheme of things, really was one of few things in this year that really brought me much joy in life, which is my alma mater's football team. So I don't know whether that's pathetic or not. Probably is, but um, this was not possible even a few years ago. Even when they were good, I didn't feel this much hope for Indiana football that I still feel for future teams under Curt Cignetti. This season's a launching pad. It is not the end all be all of Indiana football, and this is only the start. I hope it's the start of things to come, but there were many things tonight that made me upset about the way Indiana played. You can't, if you're Curt Cignetti, you can't talk a bunch of shit and then coach scared, because that's what he did tonight. Indiana was playing scared. They looked as if they didn't belong in the moment because they didn't belong in the moment right there. And it sucks for me to say that, but they just folded. A team that on paper looked really good, and in plenty of other games had so many moments this year where they looked unbeatable. You can talk about the strength of schedule if you want. It wasn't great, but I've gone through it at length before, where they played the national championship chip winner last year in Michigan. They played the runner up in Washington. They played for the old brass spittoon with Michigan State. Obviously, the old Oaken bucket with Purdue, but obviously Purdue, and especially Purdue, but in Michigan State not having great years. But that's what the ESPN strength of schedule losers are gonna end up taking from this game, and it's what they did. I have to say though, I still don't think Alabama should have been in over someone like Indiana or SMU, for that matter. I mean, even though SMU was technically like the last team in, but that being said, I yeah, it sucks. The way this season ended is, yeah, it hurts. Is it the worst loss I've ever experienced in my life? No, but that was definitely Indiana Syracuse in 2013 in men's basketball. That loss still reigns supreme among all the others. And it's like Indiana football for most of my life and most of the time that I've been watching has been an utter joke. And I believe since 2014, um, well, actually, no, did they even make? No, they didn't. So I guess since 2010, which is when I guess I started like paying any amount of attention to Indiana football, um, they've made see here. They've made five postseason appearances, made five bowl games technically, even though this wasn't a bowl game. So I guess four bowl games and a college football playoff appearance, which it's not great. It's not a great ratio when nearly two-thirds of your seasons, since you as a fan, being me, who's watched Indiana football, as not even crossed the six-win threshold, um, and suffering so many the heartbreaking losses to teams like Ball State, giving up 50 plus points to Rutgers, um, losing at home to Wake Forest, uh, giving up 83 points to Wisconsin, getting obliterated by Ohio State every year, which again happened this year. But um, I'm almost like I'm almost relieved in a way, you know, because what if they were able to beat Notre Dame in an alternative reality? How would my psyche really be doing then? Um, you know, it's but regardless, my point still stands in that this is a launching pad for Indiana football through all the tough seasons that I've witnessed as a sports fan. I mean, the last championship I've experienced was the St. Louis Blues in 2019, and it's really strange to me to see like how how a team can look so good against, quite frankly, a weaker strength of schedule, I suppose. But like they still did enough to get in. They belonged, but they played a terrible game. It was a terribly coached game, but we have a lot to thank Curt Cignetti and co. for bringing us joy this year. An 11-2 record is something I would have never even dreamed of, even when Indiana was good, even when they had Michael Penix and Micah McFadden and all those guys, um, Ty Freifogel, all those weapons that Penix and I guess for a lot of it Peyton Ramsey. Um, I wouldn't have even imagined this to be a possibility, and it happened this year in year one of the Curt Cignetti era. That's incredible. When you put that into perspective, for a university, for a program that has gone through literal hell and back, um, under so many head coaches, so many just disappointments, even before when I started watching, even when um, Bill Mallory and Bill Lynch and when Terry Hepner passed away of a brain tumor. It's like, you know, it's like when you put that into perspective, um, it's like, damn, an 11-win season, the most wins that Indiana has ever had. And Curt Cignetti did that in year one. That doesn't let him off the hook for how he handled this game. It doesn't um, give Mike Shanahan an excuse. It's like, again, as I said, when you talk so much and you prop yourself up as this aggressor, you can't just punt on every manageable down. You can't settle for uh, field goals when you know you need points. If the risk doesn't pay off, that's whatever. I mean, you have to try at some point, and they just didn't. And by then, it was too late. Whenever they scored the two garbage time touchdowns, it's an exact carbon copy of the Ohio State game, their only other ranked opponent on the year. So I guess Nebraska technically was ranked in the coaches poll when we played them, but like whatever. Um, so yeah, I just everyone's saying like you can't play scared in the second half. You can't. And I've had some time to mull this over, but like it still doesn't feel good even the day after. Um, you know, I mean, yeah, I have a lot to be thankful for Indiana team, but at the same time, it just like, um, yeah, it's yeah, I don't really know, don't really know what else to say there. So, um, gonna see if there's anything notable to talk about. So St. John's did beat Providence on the road. That was a matchup uh, I had that. I was watching some, or I had some games while I was watching the Indiana game. The uh, God, what a sick game to watch. St. John's beat Providence on the road, so I guess Providence may not be as good as I had envisioned them to be. And Zubi Ejiofor had the game winner. Uh, so good on him for, I guess, making up for the loss that St. John's had against Baylor when he couldn't convert the two free throws, and so that led Baylor to end up winning um, on the Jeremy Roach buzzer beater. So good on Zubi Ejiofor. He really deserved this one, and I'm just grasping at straws, man. This is crazy. Yeah, he led the team with 19. So, you know, good on him, I suppose. Um, one other thing I should mention is that Jeremiah Love with I mean, I knew the game was probably over at that point. Uh, when he had the 98-yard touchdown run. Just overall, he was really fun to watch. So I can't hate on Jeremiah Love. I can't really hate on Notre Dame. Like Marcus, I like if this were Brian Kelly, Notre Dame, I would be way more upset. And um, yeah, so like Marcus Freeman seems like a really good dude. And I don't dislike Riley Leonard or Jeremiah Love or really I mean anyone necessarily as much as someone like Will Howard for Ohio State, who's an absolute just douchebag. So like what can you really do? Um, sometimes the team just is not, and this was Notre Dame. So so let's I guess looking ahead, I guess um you have um I guess pretty soon as I'm recording this it's the first game. It's SMU and Penn State, correct? Yeah. So Penn State is on about an hour from now. Uh 12 at 12. So and then it'll be Clemson and Texas, and then it will be Tennessee, Ohio State. Yeah. So I really like kind of hoping that the underdogs make a statement, but at the same time, and I mean, I also want Tennessee to beat Ohio State. Like truly, that would just be glorious. Ohio State fans want Ohio State, so it's, um, yeah. Sorry, I'm not as enthusiastic in this podcast. It's just what is there to really say at this point? Also, also starting in pretty soon is Indiana Chattanooga on the men's side. Yeah, I expect Indiana to have a get right game after getting destroyed against Nebraska. Uh, the teams I root for, man. This is a this is quite an existence that I live. I'm sure I know there are worse fates to have than in Indiana. You an IU sports fan, and I mean I'm at least not a fan of the New York Jets, I guess. So there's that. Um, what else is there to really say? So Cincinnati ended up defeating Dayton, and that's another game that I was very interested in. I was really surprised. Um, I guess not really, but just because Dayton kind of look ahead game um, against UNLV, I imagined that they'd be ready to go against Cincinnati after barely escaping, but no. I mean, good on you for taking it right to them last night. So let's see here. Dan Skillings Jr. had 17 points to lead the way for Cincinnati. I think even when his shot isn't falling, uh, like today he went 0 for 4 from three, still a pretty good threat. So if if his 3 point shot starts to fall, like Cincinnati's going to be really tough to beat in the Big 12. Um, but with that being said, think I'm gonna just really, I'm just not in a still not in a great headspace to talk much about talk about sports right now, even though I guess this is technically my job or at least my hobby right now. Uh, yeah, I mean it is what it is. India will be back. I hope. I mean, I just yeah, I just I have a lot of hope for the future for IU football, which is something that I wouldn't have been able to say in previous years. But at the same time, there are a lot of lessons to be learned about this game. Don't coach scared. Like maybe dial it back on the, you know, dial it back on the trash talk and more focus into actually like making sure your team is prepared and not like jittery. Um, but yeah, I mean, obviously people are going to be like, well, Indiana didn't play anyone, as yeah, Matt Berry for ESPN ended up tweeting because he's a just ESPN is a sole SEC, just uh, yeah, they fawn over the SEC obviously because of course I get it, but like um yeah, people are obviously gonna talk about that. So but hopefully Indiana in the future will win enough and win against better competition to make sure that uh, that conversation isn't had about them. So mm, I'm just spitballing here. So um, yeah, I'm gonna try to watch some of today's action if I'm feeling well up for it. Hopefully I'll be back soon. Maybe not. I don't know. With the holidays and whatnot. I'm not sure when I'll end up recording. Anywho, with that being said, just oh, also okay, there is something else to mention. Temple won its 2000th career game. Congratulations in men's basketball. So, congratulations to Temple. I I definitely knew people had won a lot, especially way before I was born and way before I was, uh, you know, even alive. So anyway, it's it's a good good thing to know. And yeah, congratulations to Temple. For those who are curious, um, Temple is only, if I can find it, swear I had it pulled up at some point in my feed. Yeah, so come on, we're waiting. We're waiting. There we go. So yeah, so they beat Davidson 62 to 61 to get their 2000th career Jesus um, program win. And there are only five other schools. This will be a bit of trivia for you all following at home. So I think this will push it to an actual episode. I don't think this will be a bonus episode. Thank God. I just don't want it to. I, I I've I've given up. So there are only five other schools with men's college basketball teams that have over 2,000 wins. And can you name? I think you all can name them. So I will give you. Uh, well, you can pause it still, but so yeah, pause it after I am done speaking, and when I say pause. But I'll also give you 3 seconds to think it over, and then deliver your answer in spirit. So yeah, you have 3 seconds, and you can pause right now. So here you go. All right, have you paused? Have you thought it over? Okay. So the answers are Kentucky, Kansas, UNC, Duke, and UCLA. So there you go. So Temple joins a pretty elite company in that regard. So yeah, congratulations to Temple. A lot of that, again, well before my time. Uh, Quite a bit of it happened under Fran Dunphy when he was coaching Temple. And yeah, so it's a bit of trivia for you all. I suppose just something to distract myself with anyway. So, anywho, I'm gonna try to watch some football or and basketball, I guess, with Indiana now. But until then, this episode will probably be uploaded sometime in the early afternoon. Uh, once the clock once the clock reaches noon, which it's currently 11:30. So anyway, with that being said, thank you all so much for listening. Hopefully, I'll be in a little bit better of a mood next time I record, whenever that will be. But if I don't see you all, or if you all this is the only episode you tune into, make sure to have a wonderful holiday season, regardless of what you celebrate. Hopefully it's well. Hopefully you can spend some time with family. Give your loved ones a hug, and yeah, I will see you all next time. Bye bye.